Behine. When a tzaddik was physically alive in this world, these three attributes were inside a vessel and a garment. They existed in physical space. Which is the madrega of nefesh akshura begufe, which is attached to the person's body. Right? In other words, there's a neshama that's connected to the guf through ruach. There's a ruach that's connected to the guf through nefesh, and the nefesh is in the guf. Hey, says that because the nefesh is in the guf and the connection between the ruach and the neshama is through the nefesh, so the ruach and the neshama are also inside the guf. The whole Talmidav and all of the Talmidim are not able to receive the essence of the neshama of the tzaddik. Only a ray and a shine of these midas, which radiates outside of this vessel, through his speech or machshavesov and his thoughts, that are holy. So the inyan is that the tzaddik is in his nefesh is in his guf, and the ruach and the neshama is catching to the world that's through the nefesh which is in the guf. So you're only able to get the hashpah not from the neshama directly, you get the hashpah from the neshama through the guf. The guf becomes a levush hamaylim or megala. The levush conceals over the neshama and it gives you the neshama. Which is why the Gemara says a person can never reach the same madrega of his Rebbe because he's not getting the etzem of his Rebbe, he's getting only that aspect of his Rebbe which is available through the guf. When a tzaddik is nostalgic. There's a separation from the level of nefesh which remains in the grave, which is in Gan Eden. And later on you'll see that the neshama is Eila Lamayla. In the living person, the nefesh is in the guf and the ruach is in the nefesh and the neshama is in the ruach. First it passes away, the nefesh remains together with the guf, but the ruach and the neshama depart. So this is the part. A tzaddik passes away, the nefesh remains in the guf. By regular people, the body decomposes and forget, the quicker the better. So there's, I don't know if there's any chayas left. But by tzaddikim, the nefesh remains in the guf. And that's the pshat that the guf of the tzaddik has a kiyum. Even though the Gemara says, Hakel chayzon la'asam, 1 minute before Tchias HaMesim, there has to be a iyum from recovered. But until then, the guf lives because the nefesh is there. And I heard that the Rebbe was once asked, what is the iyum of going to the Eyal? So the Rebbe said that the nefesh is there. And because the nefesh is there, the yechid is there. Because there's a very strong connection between the lowest level of the neshama and the highest level of the neshama. And that's the yisin, that's the mile of going to the tziyim. I heard that's what the Rebbe said. But what has happened by the histalkus of the guf is that the ruach and the neshama are no longer held down inside the guf by the nefesh. So he says, okay, the level of nefesh becomes separate from the level of ruach which remains in the guf. The love of ruach which is Gan Eden, which is in Gan Eden. What is Gan Eden and what is ruach? Shein shalish midas halalo, these three attributes. Lefichach, therefore, you'll see soon what Gan Eden means. Yachel kol hakarav elav, any person who is near the tzaddik is capable. Lekabel chelet, to receive a portion. Mibechinas ruach shebegan Eden, this level of ruach which is in Gan Eden. Hayil ve'eina b'teich keli, it's not inside the vessel. For life of Bechinas Malkum Gashmike, nor is it in the physical space as it is known. So because the ruach is not in the guf, and because the ruach is not in Makim, you can access the etzem of ruach. When the neshama is alive, so the ruach is revealed in the nefesh, and it's stuck, so to speak, in the nefesh. You can only get the ruach through the levush of the guf. The person was nostalgic, so the ruach, the nefesh remains in the guf, the ruach goes out of the guf, so you can get the etzem of the ruach, because you don't have to go through the wall, so to speak, of the guf. And he says, we know what the Chazal say about Yankov Avinu, when he came into Yitzchak Avinu, his father, he brought with him Gan Eden. Now what does it mean he brought with him Gan Eden? That's what I say. The Cain caused of a Sefer Asar Amaris. The Sefer called Asar Amaris from the Ramemi Pana, Menachem Azani Pana, for the Gdeli Ochreinim, and he was a big Mekubal, he was a Talmud of the Arizal. And he writes the following. His Sefer Asar Amaris is one of the most Yisadistic Sfarim of Kabbalah. It's brought a lot of Hasidus. Sha'aver Gan Eden is Pashat of Kol Adam. Around every person is heir of Gan Eden. V'nir Shamim, and it becomes marked, inscribed. Be'aver in that space, Kol Machshavesa V'divur V'ateva. All good thought and speech that a person does becomes carved in that space. Parenthesis. The opposite is also true, God forbid, that when a person does bad things, there's an avid of Gehenim around him, and there's Shamim ba'avid of Espashad Begenim, there's a mark that is formed in the air of Gehenim which surrounds a person when a person doesn't have it. In other words, when we do mitzvahs, we're surrounded by an avid of Gehenim. Do Avedas, we're surrounded by an avid of Gehenim. And in that avid, what we're doing is marked. So, there's an even Gan Eden. Every person surrounded by Gan Eden. A tzaddik, when he's alive, has a ruach, and you can be makabel from the ruach of the tzaddik. But when he's in a guf, the ruach is only available through the guf. But now that the tzaddik was nostalgic, the ruach left the guf. Where is the ruach? It's in Gan Eden. Where's Gan Eden? Wherever you want it to be. You do a mitzvah, you have avid of Gan Eden. The ruach of the tzaddik is in Elam HaMaisa. The point is, the ruach of the tzaddik is not going up. The neshama goes up. The nefesh stays in the grave. The ruach remains in Gan Eden. Where's Gan Eden? Wherever you're just doing Torah mitzvahs. So you have the etzim of the ruach of the tzaddik, as opposed to the ha'ara of the ruach of the tzaddik, which is only available through the levush of the guf, because the guf has been moved out of the way. You follow?
Does that mean that if you're not connected through Torah mitzvahs, then you have no connection?
So far, yeah. Hilkach, therefore, nakom me'ed le'talmidav. It's very easy for his talmidim. Lekabel chalkim to get their portion of bechinas ruach rabba ma'atzmas, from the essence of the spirit of their Rebbe. Sheheim, which is emunasei v'yirasei v'avasei. His emunah yir and ava, asher ovad behemes ad Hashem, which he served the Eibishter during his lifetime. But now, since there's no guf, you get the etzim of the ruach, v'lei zivam bilvad, and not only a ray of this ruach, hamer chutz l'kli, which would need to shine through the guf. But now that the guf is not here, therefore, the essence of the ruach of the tzaddik mis'ala b'ilei acharilei ascends higher and higher, the call to be included to include it in the level of neshama which goes up to the Gan Eden of the higher worlds. So the way you have to read these words is as follows. When he says the lashon lefi, you have to read it as if it were to say afal pi, even though it's true. The nefesh remains in the guf, right? The neshama goes to Gan Eden, and the ruach follows the neshama to Gan Eden. Look at the words. Shebechinas ruach atmas, the etzem of ruach is mis'ala b'ila acharile, goes up higher and higher. They call to be included bechinas nishmas Hashem Gan Eden elyon shebel mazayin. However, afal became and that's known shebechol shebegdusha, any holy thing einei neka legamni mikol v'kol is never uprooted altogether mimekeinei umadrigasei rishena, from its first place and from its first step. That gam la'acha shenesala maila maila, even after a holy thing ascends higher and even higher, it remains in its earlier place. You all heard the expression kedusha einei zazim emkeima rishon legami, right? Where does it say that Ma'am Chazal? Kedusha einei zazim emkeima. Where does it say? Sanhedrin, Meid Cotton, Krisus. Where is it? Huh? You know? Kitzvi Arizal. There's no such Gemara. The Arizal makes the statement: when kedusha comes to a place, it never leaves. And it makes sense, because Kedusha is a nitzchi, and the nitzchi has to do with the Mokum and the Zman, with the Metzias. So a tzaddik's ruach ascends after the neshama, but because Kedusha and Zadim became Marishon Lagamri, the ruach be'etzem is still found in the Avad of Gan Eden and Elam Hazeh. Ubechina zu harishena shenishar lamata b'Gan Eden atachta. This first level of ruach, which remains down here in the lower Gan Eden, but became Madrigas harishena in its first level space and step. Here mispashetas betalmidav, it expands to whole talmidav kolachat fi bechinas kashrusa v'kavasi Allah b'chayav v'b'meisa. But everybody has a different access to this avi, this ruach, which is the avi of Gan Eden. It depends how much you love him during his lifetime, and depends how much you love him now. If you loved him more, you have more access to the etzem of the ruach of the tzaddik. If you loved him less, you have a more remote access to the etzem of the ruach of the tzaddik. The Avarabba with infinite love. Ki Amshachas kol ruchnius, the bringing down of any ruchnius, Eina Ella, it's only possible the Avarabba. You have to have love. When she got to B'Zeir HaKadosh, there says, how do you bring down ruchnius? By giving ruchnius, the ruach, the ru'usa the liba. When a person has a spirit of want in his heart for the Eibishter, Amshech ruach mel Eila, it brings down the ruach mel. Okay? So therefore, rak only, im yikein l'krasa l'kot, if you're going to prepare yourself towards the Eibishter. With great preparation and intense toil, lekabel, to receive sholosh midas avolo, these 3 midas kederach sheiro rabbi, as his Rebbe taught him. So then you'll be zeicha to get the ruach from the neshama of the tzaddik, which is nechach Gan Eden atachten. Ukemaim and adal, it says in the Gemara, yagayto matata time, and when you work hard, you will find that is plausible, that is True. So the point is nefesh remains in the cave. Neshama is l'mayla. The ruach follows the neshama l'mayla. But because of the principle of kedusha eina zaza, then came haritzon lagam, you have connection to the ruach of the tzaddik which remains in this world, and to the etzem of the ruach. But it's all about how much you loved him. Okay.